You guys ready? All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the January 5th, 2021 meeting of Plymouth Community School Corporation Board of Trustees. Will you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and again, welcome to the first meeting of the 2021 year. The first matter at hand is to install our recently elected members of the board through the oath of office. So Kurt Christensen, welcome. Allie Shook, being elected, I guess, for the first time, right? So this must be done by a notary. It'll be administered by Robin Davidson. So if I can get the two of you just to please stand and face her, and she will administer the oath of office.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the State of Indiana, the laws of the United States and the State of Indiana, and will you faithfully execute the duties of your office as a member of this governing body, so help you God?
I do.
Congratulations.
Moving along, then, the next matter at hand is to appoint officers for this calendar year. Once we appoint the president, then that person will come forward and continue leading this meeting. And so that is the first office. Are there any nominations for that?
I wish to nominate Melissa Christensen.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a nomination and a second for Melissa Christensen to be president. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I'll consider the nominations closed. All those in favor of Melissa being president, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations. Come on up, Melissa.
We have a seat right here for you.
Thank you.
Okay. So the next order of business would be to elect the vice president.
I wish to nominate Ella Shook.
All right. We have a nomination for Allie Shook. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second for Allie Shook. Are there any other nominations? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Congratulations, Allie.
Thank you.
All right. The next order of business is the election of board secretary. Do I have a nomination for board secretary?
I nominate Mr. Franklin.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. So we have a nomination and a second for Larry Pinkerton as secretary. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Congratulations, Larry. All right. Audience participation on agenda items. Is there any member of the audience that wishes to discuss any agenda items? No? All right. Anybody on the phone? Can you do that? Or do you know?
They can hear you as you're going through, so they
Okay.
can speak up, yes.
Okay. All right, moving on. Consent agenda. Are there any items that anyone would wish to pull out of the consent agenda to talk about separately? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carried. All right. Item 3, business transactions. 3.1 project update.
Yeah, so the Lincoln Education Center project is moving along nicely. We are at a place this week where we're starting to install carpet on the interior. Walls are painted aside from the touch-up items. Ceiling grid is continuing to, I think the grid is pretty well done. They just need to put finish up the ceiling tiles. A lot of finishing work there on the exterior. They removed the cave that they created for cold weather masonry, so you can see the masonry work completed for those two stairwells. Aside from the finishes there, the wash that they have to do with it, I think that will blend nicely and match nicely there. You can finish the stairwells on the inside of those two areas. The entrance is just moving along nicely. I'd say our hope is for the internal groups that we have that are going to go there to start moving in around the spring break timeframe. I think I told you during the December meeting, but just to reiterate, the parking lot will not get done. They're not going to touch that again until late May, early June, just based on cold weather and some cycling issues that they had there. So, and that's fine, you know, with limited attendance at events and things like that. We're really needing that parking space right now. The major issue of having that lane open is there. It's running nicely. Yeah, so it's moving along. We're excited.
Hey Andy, how's the traffic flow? Is it working out pretty good? I mean, now that that's kind of...
I would say it's working out. It is significantly better than what it once was. Okay. I know as a parent myself, I've gone through a few times. It's great compared to what I used to experience. Have you experienced that, Mr.
It's been good, yeah, I have. The kinks seem to get worked out after the first couple of weeks, probably, and it's been pretty smooth since. There's just a lot of traffic if you go in between buildings.
Yeah.
It seems to be as much of a problem as anything, as opposed to the schools sort of moving traffic through. I think it's just mostly a busy time of day. Riverside was really backed up early on, and they, I think, corrected that too. So it seems to be pretty good.
Our goal of getting the traffic off the street has improved immensely, and you know, as we always hope that everyone just follows those procedures, and that helps as well. One tries to assume shortcuts here and there. We try to remind them not to do that. Not just disrupts the flow of traffic, but can compromise the safety of the
Oh, sure. Yeah. Any questions about the project or anything?
Looks good.
I think it does too. It looks really good. I've had a lot of compliments. Okay, item 3.2, legislative update.
So it is a long session, a budget session, and the legislative session began yesterday. It was the first day. And so bills have been filed, will continue to be filed here for a while. Really what I just want to point out this early in the session is that there are two bills, one in the House, one in the Senate, that are identical to each other and are really focused on fully funding students who are virtual for the second part of the school year. Recall the State Board of Education passed an updated rule in the fall to fully fund those students with a legislative action. And so these two bills, again, are identical, are focused on doing that. We anticipate that they will pass. I think they have emergency designation to move quickly, and hopefully the governor's that's quickly as well. So there are other things that are being filed that we're keeping our eye on. It's kind of a crazy time in that sense. There will be, I'm sure, several bills tied to education, and look forward to communicating with our legislators to.
Has there been any update on the funding for teachers?
So the teacher compensation report, that study was released,
right.
And I think that there are some bills tied to that. I don't know how much traction they have right now, but that's definitely one of the things that we have our eye on. That report had recommendations for several groups. certainly the legislative body and the opportunity that they have exist in there. The recommendation to look at operating referendums was in there, as well as suggestions for local school districts when it comes to designating and shrinking to have a certain percent of their funds for teacher salaries and that. We fall already within those recommendations that they provide. I was pleased to see that, and excited to kind of see what else may come from the report.
I just hope they get something accomplished. They talk about it all the time, but they don't get anything done.
I agree. Thank
All right. Any other legislative information or questions? All right, item 3.3, receive copies of extracurricular financial report.
They happen to be right here on my desk. Every school has their own folder. They have been checked by the treasurer at each building and signed off by each principal at the building. And then they come over here and I review them and sign off on them. And then they get uploaded monthly to the Gateway extracurricular monthly engagement report. So, anytime anybody wants to look at them, feel free to ask to see them. They're in my office.
Okay. Thanks, Katie, and the minutes will reflect that we have the opportunity to review them and have received them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Annual conflict of interest disclosure statement.
This is an annual item for the board to receive the conflict of interest statements from administrators, board members, as well as others who may have a perceived conflict of interest. And so those are before you this evening, and if you could approve those.
They were part of our packet. Does anyone have any questions? Or actually, I entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. Okay. Does anybody have any questions now? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And if I could, real quickly, obviously those are there for review, but those also get uploaded into the Department of Local Government Finance for public review.
Good, thank you. All right, 3.5, new and revised policies and guidelines. This is just the first reading.
This is the first reading, so there'll be a second reading which we'll approve. But these recommendations just place the policies you see before you and the guidelines in line with any changes that have occurred either through state or federal laws or administrative rules by government agencies or through judicial standards. So you see those listed before you there is kind of a wide range of topics. I'd be happy to entertain any questions that you may have on those now, between now and the next meeting.
And these are policies that are recommended by Neola.
Yes, we work with Neola, who is a legal consultant who works on policies for school districts throughout the state, constantly reviewing the changes and providing recommendations for us.
Anybody have any questions?
Of particular note, if I could,
Yeah.
because the teacher evaluation policy, we already updated our evaluation plan to reflect those legislative changes going into the school year. We should, so that one is lagging a little bit, but just know that we're
Okay, moving on to item 3.6, consider PCSC appointment to the Plymouth Public Library Board.
Yes, well, the school board gets to appoint library board members, and so this board has previously appointed Lisa Miller, but she has decided to not continue in that capacity, and so the library board has provided a recommendation, which I support and present to you. That being Mrs. Lynn Schumacher, to be one of the school district's appointments to the library board. She's an active member in our community. This will be for a 4-year term.
So moved.
All right, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Well, thank her for her service.
Yes, we will.
Okay. 3.7, consider due process agreement.
Yeah, a request had been made to enter into due process on behalf of a special education student, and while this technically lands under the Jesse purview, it does fall within us as well. So an agreement was reached through that process, and presented to this evening for consideration and
Okay. All right, we'll get it on the table first. Anybody want to make a motion?
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
Sorry.
All right. I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or questions? All right. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, motion carries. Item 3.8, consider resolution 2021-1, recurring transfer from education fund to operations fund.
Yeah, this resolution is required by state statute. Identifies the amount that we intend to transfer from the education fund to the operations fund on a monthly basis. That helps support our operations.
Okay. All right, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Questions? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. 3.9, consider section 125 plan documents.
This is another annual consideration by the board. The document outlines the process for allowing employees to utilize the benefits afforded under section 125. There is really no change to the plan document aside from just updating the dates to reflect the current year. So that is presented to you this evening with the recommendation for approval.
I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Is there any discussion? Questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. 3.10, consider internet service provider.
Yeah, so a few years ago, we sent this service out to bid, and actually changed providers at that time. We had some cost savings, however, there have been some concerns with that provider. So as that agreement is coming to an end this year, we decided to put that service out to bid again. So that RFP went out. Mr. Fisher has been working on that, has the results he'd like to share along with his recommendation. Mr. Fisher.
Thank you. The evaluation chart that has been shared with you kind of is a clear-cut winner. Not exactly. We have two that are almost identical in every field. Very good competitors, very good services, no matter that. But after careful consideration, including price and reputation and experience of these people, I would recommend NableNet Wireless as our future provider for connectivity for Plymouth schools. As you look at the highlighted and bold areas, you'll see that you consider cost alone, there are two providers that are pretty much evenly matched. But after considering all aspects of this for the future relationship for Plymouth Community Schools, decided that MNW would be the best fit. Wasn't just me, I have run this past our E-rate rep as well. That's why we pay them, to see what their thought is, whether they're reputable or other schools have worked with them, their references, things of nature, such like. After I have spoken with a rep at MNW, just in case they can't fulfill their need of getting us up and running by July 1, they have agreed to make sure that we will pay our new flat rate and that they will absorb any other fees with our incumbent until they're up and running. So with that said, we rest assured that we're going to have a good company and that we are increasing our bandwidth, going from 2 gigabits to 5 gigabits incoming. And instead of having small wide area network bandwidths between the buildings, we're going to go up to a 10 gigabit everywhere. including the new Lincoln Elevator Center. It'll have its own separate subject. So, with that, my recommendation would be NMW.
Okay. You've heard the recommendations. Is there a motion?
I move to accept Mr. Fisher's recommendation.
Second.
All right. Any discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 4, superintendent's remarks.
Thank you. I hope everyone had a restful holiday. I'm sure it looked different than maybe what you're used to, but nonetheless, I hope it was relaxing. We did welcome our teachers back today. Had a good day with them. Tomorrow we look forward to welcoming our students back to school. Again, I want to thank the board, teachers and staff, our students and families for the support that they provided throughout the school year thus far. You may have noticed that Marshall County has shifted to a red status when it comes to the metrics provided by the Indiana State Department of Health. And as you know, I talked with our health department very regularly and did so as this status change was approaching. They felt that the change, continue to feel that it's not a result of the schools, that the schools continue to do a good job in our mitigating efforts, pleased with our plans, and everything else. And so our plan and agreement with them remains the same, that they continue to guide us when it comes to the viral spread that may be happening in our schools. If we need to make adjustments, we do so. An example of that is even before our shift to a red status, we made changes in our fan plans when it comes to our extracurricular events, limiting those to just immediate family members only. So they've helped us greatly in that regard. And then if we were to face staffing issues or concerns, certainly that means on us to make decisions to move or make certain shifts. And so appreciate that partnership, appreciate the collaboration that exists there, and again, just appreciate everyone's efforts. It's not been easy. It'll continue to not be easy. And I guess that's my next point, is that we need to stay vigilant in our efforts. We sent communications out to staff and families yesterday, just reminding them of those things, reminding them to keep students home if they're not feeling well or anyone in the household is not feeling well, to keep students home if there's a pending COVID test in the household, and certainly if anyone in the household is quarantined, to be in touch with the school or guiding them through that process. Mask wearing is going to continue, be vigilant in our hand washing and sanitizing, and confident that we'll have a successful second semester there as well. I did mention the fan plan, and I also wanted to make note, certainly having some athletic events. We're able to have some music events as well. I talked in our December meeting about the fall children's play, but we were able to have some musical performances. And it wasn't our typical Christmas spectacular, but kudos to our teachers who made some adjustments in order to still provide the opportunity for our kids to perform in a safe environment, and they did a great job. I'm getting a lot of questions about the vaccine and its availability for our teachers and staff. In my daily communication with the health department, that is always a complicated conversation to see if they have any new information on that. That is really controlled by the State Department of Health, and our local officials continue to wait for guidance and direction on when they can move into the next phase. I was actually on a call today with St. Joseph Health Systems, and they said the exact same thing, that that's controlled by the State Department of Health. And so I'm hearing that the governor's press conference tomorrow will have information in this regard, and hopefully that will include our teachers and staff, and we'll be able to implement some systems to provide that for those who seek it. With that, our next board meetings. I say meetings because we have some coming up. We do need to have an open seat that we need to fill, and so there is a special meeting of the board on January 13th and maybe the 14th, depending on the number of interested candidates that the board will need to interview. That period for receiving letters of interest does end tomorrow at 4 o'clock. So once we have that, we'll get those scheduled and get the schedule out to you as soon as possible, so you know what that is. Then this group, the board will need to meet again special meeting to make that appointment on January 20th. And the reason we're doing that then and not at the February meeting is because that seat needs to be filled within 30 days of being vacant. She became vacant on January 1st. So once we get through that, our next regular meeting will be Tuesday, February 2nd. And I forgot one very important meeting as well, just right after this one, which we will work on.
Thanks, Andy. I do want to add too that I know that the vaccinations are being given because Linda Gilbert of the United Way and the Community Foundation was rounding up volunteers, and I do know that last week the certain positions, not the shot giving, but the process flow positions were staffed by some of our teachers and possibly students. So.
The efforts are definitely moving forward. A lot of energy, a lot of focus, a lot of organizations being put forth there, and it is coming, and it's working its way through. And appreciate everyone's resolve.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. Okay. Audience participation. Are there any questions from the audience regarding agenda items?
Melissa, this is Laura Pryor. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I do have a couple questions. One is item 3.2, legislative update. Has the school board appointed a legislative liaison?
Hi, Laura. This is Andy. Yes, as a part of the consent agenda this evening, Allie Shook was listed as, and actually was approved as the legislative liaison for this year.
But I'd just like to give the invitation that if there is a time where you want PEA, school board representatives, administrative representatives to meet with our representatives in Indianapolis, whether it's in Indianapolis or back here in town, we would be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's make sure that we collectively reach out this year.
And then the other one I had a question on was in the item 3.5, new and revised policy guidelines.
Yeah.
There was one about graduation requirements.
Yes.
And it offers sensing to the social studies.
Of course.
And I did note that they have now put a passing rate on the naturalization test. That was not the case before. Has the state given any kind of guidance on how these tests are supposed to be administered, when they're supposed to be, how this is reported back to the state?
I'll defer to Jill on this.
So, as anything, Laura, everything is evolving. There is a pass rate scale, but that is not any kind of indication of hindrance to graduation or pass-fail of the class. It's basically their C9 score saying this is what they would expect students to be able to achieve taking this test based off of the classes that they have taken. They will provide us with reporting forms to be able to submit to the state what our passing averages are. The administration of this will be determined at the local level. So it's during that class period when you decide to administer this assessment. So there's some level of flexibility. It isn't a window of time like we do with most of our standardized assessments.
Did you hear that?
I did. So when it comes to the administering of the test, we do have students that are in regular government class, but then some are on Inventum, and some may have even taken government their junior year. But we're supposed to try and meet all of those seniors before they graduate.
That's a good question as far as what I think you're asking is, does it have to happen their senior year or while they're taking government, like before they graduate? I still think from an administration standpoint, we're going to receive a lot more information from DOE as the next school year approaches. From a policy standpoint, we just want to make sure that we put the fact that taking that assessment is now a requirement. Not
All right,
passing.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, not passing to graduate.
Thanks, Laura. Okay. Any other questions?
Listen, before we adjourn, I want to take the opportunity to thank and commend Andy and his administrative team, faculty and staff, in doing whatever it takes to keep these buildings open, because mentally and psychologically, these kids need to be in school. And I certainly applaud that.
I echo those sentiments also. Thanks, Larry. Okay, if there's no other business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Stick around, we have another meeting.
Just a
Oh, yeah.
couple minutes to make a transition.
Okay.
Good? So good. Call to order the January 5th, 2021 Plymouth Community School Corporation Board of Finance meeting. First order of business is the election of president. Are there any nominations?
Nominate Melissa Christian.
Nomination, is there a second?
Second.
Nomination, second. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you. All right, item 1.2, election of secretary. Are there any nominations for secretary?
Nominate Alicia.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor of Ally as secretary, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Congratulations, Ally.
Good job.
All right, business transactions. Report on investments and investment policy.
Yes, as you can see, I included our monthly interest income as well as interest earned on some CD investments. I also included policy 6144, which is what I am allowed to invest in. Basically CDs, we can't put stock market, we got school money. So as you can see, the year began with good interest. Then COVID hit. And so we're not getting very much and as much as anticipated, but even though we have not, we have financially been able to maintain, which is great. So the interest earned in 2020 is $83,965.75. So that's amazing.
Thanks, Sandy. I appreciate your efforts on that, because it's, I know it's rough.
I was so looking forward to doing a good one.
Yeah. And there's nothing we have to vote on for that, right? For the report. Okay. Approved current corporation credit cards.
Yes, we have a policy on the corporation credit cards. We also, in that policy, we have a sign-off sheet when someone would like to, they have to put in a requisition. And a lot of times it's for items that are online that they can get less for less money. Is one of the main reasons that we do that. And we've got a few local ones. And we actually went to all of the credit cards transitioned this year. Teachers Credit Union changed their format so we can log in and in real time confirm and see things, which is so much better than waiting until the monthly statement comes. And if that, you know, we can catch something right away, which is, a lot better for all of that, so. We've listed all of those cars and the values of them, so. Okay.
And this does take an action.
Yes.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the current corporation credit cards?
So moved. Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 2.3, report of fiscal indicators.
Yeah, this is a requirement from statute, and yearly we need to report to the Board of Finance the fiscal condition of the school corporation and relate that to the fiscal indicators. For those who may not know, a few years back, some school corporations got into some pretty big trouble financially, and when that happens, they run through the Distressed Unit Appeals Board. Additionally, there was some legislative action that requires now all school corporations to provide this report and make sure that everyone knows how to do it. So in board docs, we did put a link to the fiscal indicators report there. You can drop down, find Plymouth, and see how we're doing over the past few years. We've also provided a written summary for you there. And to review that briefly, you will see first and foremost that the most recent year listed is from 2019, and that's just because our budgets and our fiscal reporting operate on a calendar year basis. 2020 just ended, and it takes them about a year to consolidate all those things into this report. Nonetheless, looking through those indicators, our ADM, our average daily membership, has been declining over the past few years. We report on that regularly with you. However, we do continue to see a net gain from our out-of-district students. It's always a good sign. And I'm optimistic that our ADM will at the very least start to plateau, level out, possibly increase as we look at potential new developments may have in the area. We attribute most of the decline to health migration. Our fund balances are positive, as was our deficit surplus report. Basically, we are not spending beyond our needs. Very diligent review of that, review of our cash flow as well, to ensure we're being fiscally responsible. And the result of that is healthy balances as well as a surplus and not a deficit. I'm confident the same will be true for 2020 as well. The report on fund balances as a percent of our expenditures, really that just measures our ability to maintain operations should revenues be delayed to us, and our percentages are right where they should be when it comes to that. I feel really good about that if that were to happen. And just so you know, that includes the education fund balance, the operations fund balance, as well as the R&D fund. The final indicator there in the report just shows how our revenues are broken down. It includes local and state as well as federal dollars. And see an operating referendum report there, but since we don't have one of those, which is not in the report.
Any questions for Andy? And that's not an action.
It is not.
All right. Item 3.1, adjournment. So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Great. Meeting adjourned. Just get better. Not as smooth as
That's great.